Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the D-Pad. I'm your host Brad Davis, and you're watching a show that's all about video games. Took a really long break due to really good reasons in my personal life, as you can probably see by this video here. But I'm back, and what we're going to do in this episode is take a look at what all three console maker companies are doing right now, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, and just talk about what they have going on right now, as well as what they have planned in the future. So we're going to start things off with the company that has the most recent news, and that company is Nintendo. Alright, now Nintendo recently announced the Nintendo Switch, and this device looks really great in my opinion. And personally, this is what I wanted the next Nintendo console to be. I wanted it to be a console that combines Nintendo's home with Nintendo's portable games, and that's exactly what this console seems like it will be doing. The Wii U was a major failure. It's been selling very badly, and it's no surprise as to why Nintendo wants to hurry up in terms of releasing a new console, a successor to the Wii U. But what is interesting about the Nintendo Switch is that it seems to be a successor to the Wii U in the sense that it takes what features the Wii U had and makes those features better. And in this case, we could focus on the screen controller, or the tablet, if you will. And this tablet can actually be taken around like a portable gaming device. So basically the console is the screen itself. And that's a complaint that a lot of people had with the Wii U, was the fact that you could only have it in a certain range away from the Wii U console itself. But with the Switch, since the Switch is the tablet screen itself, you can basically move it around with you. And what's cool is that you can put the screen on a dock, and that dock that connects to your TV will send the video to your TV screen, so you can just play games back and forth from your tablet and right onto the screen. And I think that's really cool, and I think it will be a big reason as to why this Nintendo console, the Nintendo Switch, will be the first Nintendo console in a long time to have actual good game support. We know that Nintendo more likely won't have that many third-party games on the system. I mean, let's just call it the way it is. People don't care about these games being played on Nintendo consoles. The Xbox and PlayStation brands have been dedicated to these genres of games for many years now, 15 plus years now, and nobody's gonna switch to Nintendo, no pun intended, nobody's gonna switch to Nintendo to play these titles. They're gonna stick to Xbox and or PS4 and continue on playing with all their friends that they have on their online user bases. So nobody's going to be buying the Nintendo Switch, at least in my opinion, to play games like Madden or NBA 2K. What they're going to buy the Nintendo Switch for is to play Nintendo games that aren't on the Xbox and or PS4. And it seems like the Nintendo Switch will be really good for that, due to it combining portable and home console. So you can expect Wii U franchises as well as 3DS franchises to be on the Nintendo Switch. In the video they showed games like Splatoon, Mario, and Zelda. So if they can, as well as Mario Kart 2, they showed off Mario Kart. So if they can get all these franchises on the system at launch, then that would be great, because it took a while for the Wii U to get all these franchises. It took many years, but what seems to be the case for the Nintendo Switch is that all these games will be on the system within the system's first year. So that'll be a really great thing to have as the face of the Nintendo Switch. It'll be great to have just multiple games on the system at launch, instead of us having to wait months and months like we did with the Wii U just to play some new Nintendo game. Now, another thing that Nintendo has to focus on with the Nintendo Switch is the price. As I said before, nobody is going to be playing third-party games on the Nintendo Switch. That's just the way I feel, and sales pretty much show this. Every time Nintendo tries to push third-party games, they pretty much flop in terms of sales, because people are playing those games on Xbox and or PS4. So Nintendo should price the Nintendo Switch as a secondary console. The trailer that they showed, or I should say the commercial that they showed for the Nintendo Switch, showed a lot of millennials, people around their 20s and or 30s playing on the Nintendo Switch. And a lot of these people already have Xboxes and or PS4s. So Nintendo shouldn't really focus on getting this group of people to play the games on the Nintendo Switch. And it seems like they know that they can't do this well, or that it's pretty much impossible for them to do this, which is why they're seemingly focusing on, okay, how can we get people to play on our console via our own library of games? And they're doing that by combining portable franchises with the console, home console franchises. So if they can do that well and on a regular basis in terms of releasing games, then Nintendo Switch is going to be a really solid console, in my opinion, much better than the Wii U. So with that, as I said before, the price, they have to focus on making the price of the console less expensive than the PS4 and Xbox One. And as of right now, the PS4 and Xbox One are $300. So if they can get the Nintendo Switch to $200 or $250, then I think that will be a good spot for the system, and will get the system more attention from people who already own consoles. Because as again, Nintendo showed a lot of millennials in their commercial for the Nintendo Switch, and they should know that many millennials already have an Xbox One or PS4 or both of them. So they need to make this Nintendo Switch a console, a appealing device in terms of price, so that people will want to buy it alongside a new game or multiple games for their current consoles that they already own. So I'm really impressed by the Nintendo Switch. I'm really interested in hearing more info about the device, and I really hope that this new Nintendo device does well, because the Super Nintendo will always be my favorite Nintendo console, and I would love to see Nintendo actually be relevant in the home console space again. So it seems like they can do this with the Nintendo Switch by combining, again, portable gaming with home console gaming, but they just need the games to be there. So if the games are there, then I definitely think the Nintendo Switch will do well. So we'll see what happens. The console will release in March of next year, which is kind of a strange date, but also at the same time, it's moving itself away from the big holiday boom, the big AAA game boom, the big boom of Xbox sales and PS4 sales. So I think it will give the system a good opportunity, at least, to have its own spotlight when it releases, as long as there's a good amount of games that will be on the system at launch. So again, I'm pumped, and I hope that Nintendo does well when they release the system. Alright, now we're moving on to Microsoft and the Xbox One. The Xbox One S is the new version of the Xbox One. The new smaller version is slimmer, and it has 4K Blu-ray capabilities, and it also has HDR gaming for just a few titles as of right now. But this console has done really well and has helped Xbox in North America, since they've been on a winning streak in terms of the NPD stats. So this console has been doing far better than I thought it would when it comes to helping the Xbox brand in North America. And it's interesting to see how much people care now about slim consoles having features, and not just slim consoles being just slimmer in size. And I think what shows this pretty well is when you compare the Xbox One S impact with, well, I should say alongside the impact of the PS4 Slim. The PS4 Slim hasn't helped the PS4 console sales in North America at all right now, but it probably will when we get into the holiday season. But as of right now, it hasn't really helped PS4 sales, considering the fact that Xbox One is still selling more than the PS4 in North America as of right now. So I definitely think that this shows that people still care about slim consoles, but the slim consoles have to have some features alongside the console itself being smaller. And I think Xbox, or I should say Microsoft, really nailed this, because on top of the console being nicer in appearance as well as smaller in size, they added more features onto the console itself. again, the 4K Blu-ray, the HDR gaming, so that certain games such as Gears of War 4 or Forza Horizon 3 can be in HDR if you have an HDR 4K compatible TV. And these features definitely add up in terms of value. So when people see, or ask the store clerk, okay, what makes this Xbox One S better than the original Xbox, that clerk can say more than just, oh, okay, it looks better and it has a smaller size. He can say, okay, it also does this and this and this, and that will get people attracted to that Xbox One S. So Microsoft definitely did well with the Xbox One S. As I said before, it's doing much better than I thought it would, and they're moving along pretty well in terms of taking that success onto the holiday season with the exclusives that have recently been released on Xbox, as well as the AAA titles are coming out on Xbox soon. Now, in terms of the future Xbox brand will be focused on the Scorpio, and this will be apparently a new version of the Xbox One that will be dedicated to 4K gaming and have virtual reality capabilities. And I say apparently because I could personally see Microsoft just moving away from the Xbox One brand with the Scorpio and pretty much advertising and or pushing the Xbox Scorpio as a successor to the Xbox One, even if they don't, blatantly say that. They'll say, hey, this Xbox Scorpio will be compatible with all Xbox One games, but I think that they have to pretty much push the Xbox Scorpio as a successor to the Xbox One if they truly care about getting back some ground that they've lost over the past few years in terms of their North American market share. So if they can do that with Xbox Scorpio, then we could possibly see a stronger Xbox brand, a brand that will be in a similar position to how things were back during the Xbox 360 days. Now, I can't see, the PS4 losing anything anytime soon in terms of market share. I mean, the PS4 is still doing well. It's just that the Xbox One has gained some momentum in North America, and it's definitely North America only because the system is still not doing well outside of North America and the UK pretty much. And a lot of that just simply has to do with the Xbox One not having that many titles that can appeal to gamers that live outside of North America and the UK. So in terms of the worldwide battle, if you will, Sony is still pretty much safe. I can't see Xbox ever catching up, but I do think Xbox has a chance to catch up, at least in North America, via the Xbox One S as well as the Xbox Scorpio that's going to come out next year. So they just have to play their cards right and advertise the systems well, let consumers who don't follow up on tech news know the differences between the Xbox One S and the Xbox Scorpio, and just have the games ready at launch when the Xbox Scorpio launches, and the system will be in a good spot, I believe, at least in North America. So on top of that, again, we have to talk about price for the Xbox Scorpio. Phil Spencer has been pushing the fact that the Xbox Scorpio will be a premium product, but just because it's a premium product doesn't mean it has to be a really expensive price. And I can't see Microsoft deciding to make the Xbox Scorpio more than $400, especially after the struggles that the Xbox One had back during 2013 and 2014. So I definitely think that $399 will be the price of the Xbox Scorpio, and I do also feel that $400 is pretty much a maximum acceptable price for a console in the eyes of many gamers. And also $400 will give the Xbox Scorpio a pretty good gap in between the Xbox One S when it comes to price differences. So if you're somebody that doesn't need the latest and greatest, you can still get the Xbox One S, since by then I could see the Xbox One S being probably around $250 in terms of price. So Microsoft, again, they need to be sure that they can hold on to this momentum that they have, and just ride it out until the Scorpio launches, and then focus on the Scorpio. It's going to be interesting to see how the Scorpio will play alongside the Xbox One S in terms of game compatibility. All games will be released on the Xbox One and Xbox Scorpio, at least during the first couple years that the Xbox Scorpio is released. So will that mean sections of stores in which there's an Xbox One S section and an Xbox Scorpio section? Will everything just be Xbox in terms of branding? Will the game cases just have the Xbox logo and say on the back of them, this is compatible on the Xbox One S and Xbox Scorpio? I think that would be interesting to see, at least in my opinion, since I'm into branding and advertising. So again, if Microsoft can tell people the differences between these two consoles and also make the Scorpio attractive box for hardcore gamers, as well as just core gamers, because again, hardcore gamers don't make up the large amount of gamers that play on home consoles. The people that play on home consoles the most are people that are pretty much only interested in sports games and shooters like Call of Duty, Madden, NBA 2K, and Battlefield. So if they can attract those gamers onto the Scorpio, then the Scorpio will be in a pretty good spot. So anyway, to make things short and simple, there's a lot of stuff going on with Microsoft and Xbox right now. It's definitely a transition period, even though there's been a lot of big games recently released on Xbox One. And I'm really interested in seeing how Microsoft will move things over from the Xbox One to the Xbox Scorpio, whether they'll do that via making the Xbox Scorpio part of the Xbox One brand, or making the Xbox Scorpio pretty much a successor to the Xbox One and making it its own separate brand. So that will be definitely interesting to see. Alright, now let's talk about Sony. Sony has been doing really well with the PS4. It's still far and away in the lead in comparison to the Wii U and the Xbox One in terms of overall console sales. The PS4 is just pretty much the default console of this generation of games in many territories of the world. So it's definitely a good thing to see that Sony has greatly improved its position in the home console space after the PS3. The PS3 had many struggles, especially in North America and the UK. So to see the PS4 not have those same struggles and to pretty much be the console that most gamers are playing is pretty amazing, and it has to be a good thing in the eyes of Sony for them to improve so much in such a short amount of time. So the PS4 is doing really well, and Sony is trying to take the success of the PS4 and use it in the future via the PS4 Pro, as well as the recently released PS VR headset. Now the PS4 VR headset, it's been doing pretty well in sales, but I think that should have been expected, since the VR headset had a lot of hype before it launched, and a lot of people who are really hardcore in terms of gaming, they were definitely interested in the PSVR headset. I think the real question is, how will this headset do in 2017 and the months after January 2017, since I could see sales dipping down a bit due to there not being any major VR titles on the PS4 that make good use of the PSVR headset. So we'll see what happens with the PSVR headset. I'm definitely interested in virtual reality, but in terms of me wanting to pay pretty much the price of a console just to try it out, I'm not interested that much in it at all. And I think the same is true for many other gamers, whether they're hardcore or just people that play Madden and Call of Duty. I think the price is really gonna hurt it in the future. But again, we'll see what happens. If there's some decent amount of titles that work with VR on the PS4, then I could see the headset picking up some attention from people who don't own it during that particular time. But until then, I just think that there's not that many games that are VR capable that justify the price of the PSVR headset. So that's my feelings about the PS4 and VR. I think VR will be bigger in the future, say 4 or 5 years from now. I don't think it will take off that much this gen due to the price and just due to the fact that the technology is still relatively new. Once they, get things rolling and get to see what works with VR and what doesn't, then I think more people will want to join in onto VR gaming. Now let's talk about the PS4 Pro. The PS4 Pro is similar to the Xbox Scorpio in the sense that it will improve games, and in a sense that it will be a system that will be advertised as being 4K. But the thing with PS4 Pro is that the features of the PS4 Pro aren't, I guess you could say, fully 4K, at least in terms of gaming. Some of the games coming out for the PS4 that will have improvements on the PS4 Pro will just be improvements in terms of keeping a solid 1080p resolution, and not, you know, anything that will boost up that resolution to 4K. So while this has disappointed some people, I still think that this is definitely still an improvement, obviously, and still something that will attract people who currently own the original PS4. So the PS4 Pro is going to get decent sales. I can see it possibly doing better than the PS4 Slim, since, as I said earlier, the PS4 Slim hasn't had that great of sales right now. It hasn't helped the PS4 in any way right now, but that could change as we get closer to the holiday season. A lot of parents will be buying their kids new consoles, and parents usually get whatever is cheap, so they'll definitely be getting the PS4 Slim. But at the same time, the PS4 Pro is a more attractive device in my opinion in comparison to PS4 Slim. And I shouldn't even say in my opinion, it just has more features in comparison to the PS4 Slim. So those features can definitely make parents who possibly wanted to get a cheaper option just end up buying the PS4 Pro, due to them knowing that the PS4 Pro will be more future proof in comparison to the PS4 Slim, especially if they have a 4K TV. So it's going to be interesting to see how well the PS4 Pro does, whether or not it will help the PS4 to have better sales in North America during this holiday season than the Xbox One S will. And I think that will be the case, since there seems to be a lot of hype behind the PS4 Pro, especially with current PS4 owners, and as well as some people who still don't own the current gen console. So I definitely think that we'll see the PS4 Pro have, or cause, overall PS4 sales to be better than Xbox One S sales in North America during this holiday season. But anything could happen, because again, if the Xbox One S is possibly available at a really cheap price, say like $250 or so, then I could see sales of the Xbox One S really taking off. And I could see there being a lot of other sales and deals involving, say, you know, free games. You know, if you get this console, then you get 2 free games, and say 1 free year of the online gaming service. And that will definitely take off during the holiday season, because again, all that parents want is good value, and if they see good value, then they'll buy, you know, that device, especially if their kids want that device. So this holiday season is going to be really interesting in between the Xbox One S and the PS4 Pro. Again, the games that will be released during this time will be, you know, AAA big games. You know, games that will sell during this time will be games like Call of Duty, as well as recently released games such as Battlefield 1, and both games, as well as other games outside of those games, will definitely help the sales of both consoles. So overall, it's just going to go down to, during this holiday season, it's going to come down to advertising as well as price and deals, you know. And if both companies can do that well, then both companies will definitely have really good sales in North America during this holiday season. Alright, and that ends another episode of D-Pat. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As I said before, I took a long break due to things that have been going on in my personal life, but now I'm back doing videos. And this episode was pretty much a bridge to the long hiatus I took, as well as what's coming soon in the future. And what's coming soon is the 6th season of D-Pat, and that'll be coming out before the year is over. And I'll have many reviews for games that have been recently released, games that have been released over the past 2 to 3 months. So be on the lookout for that, and I'll see you guys then. All right, thanks for watching. Goodbye, everybody.